It's time for the Dog and Pauly podcast on FingerLakes1.com, featuring Harold Webb Dog Weber and Paul Helstrom.
Well, it's Wednesday, August the 29th, 2012. Another edition of the Dog and
Pauly Show.
We welcome two of my old friends, along with Paul's old friends from Waterloo, New York. Joe Sposato and Ed Courtney join us today for not the full hour, for a half an hour, as they both have got commitments. But we welcome you on a Wednesday morning to our latest version of the Dog and Pauly Show. And without further ado, it's a beautiful day. Certainly, it's good to bring back a couple of my old pals, Joe and Ed. I worked a lot of their basketball games, as they remember. And Joe, thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Eddie, good seeing you as always.
It's great to be here.
It's great to have you guys here. We're going to bring back, of course, myself and Paul have a long history with the Waterloo sporting program, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell to Joe about, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame, too, they got coming up in October as well, who's coming in and new inductees. My memories of Joe, I've known him a long time. I got him to donate $50 because I thought he was a graduate of St. Mary's for the new banner for St. Mary's Festival years ago. And that was a classic joke because I just assumed, Ed, that Joe was a graduate of St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. But then we were taking donations on the phone. Actually, I was embarrassing people to donate to get a new banner across your Main Street in Waterloo. And I got Heinzman for $50 and Patchen for $50 and Suin for $50. And I said, well, we'll get our buddy Joe Sposato down for $50. He's a graduate of St. Mary's. And then Joe gets word driving. You were driving, right, Joe, somewhere?
I believe it was, yeah.
And he found out $50. I said, yeah. And then whoever has to say he's a graduate of St. Mary's, I just assumed he was. So that was kind of funny, but he came up with the $50, I must add.
Well, the thing about it is, it's even funnier.
Yep.
Is I was teaching at St. Mary's at that time. I just started teaching,
perfect,
and we kicked them out.
That's true. They wouldn't let me in, to be honest with you.
I found that interesting. We raised about $800. They got a new banner, because that used to drive me crazy driving through Waterloo, that old tattered banner that was up there for years. Yeah. I couldn't take it anymore. So I personally went on a collection during my Weber on Sports show on WSFW Radio, and it got a lot of people. By the way, we didn't get a lot of people to commit. I committed them for the money. That's why I'm embarrassing them. And the checks did come in. So, Joel, thank you for that donation, by the way. It was well spent, I'm sure.
I'm amazed that you remembered that.
I always remember that because you saw me and said, I didn't go to St. Mary's. I said, I thought you did.
Well, his buddies all were there.
Yeah, I know.
Disbury was there, Dave Kingston, that whole bunch.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the Hall of Fame, Eddie, of course, coaching indoor track, outdoor track, cross country. Ed, you've been doing that forever, right?
Yes,
as far
I
as
have.
coaching. How long? Yeah. How many years?
This is my 49th year.
Wow.
Coaching.
49 years.
Yep.
You don't look a day over 45.
Yeah, I know.
49 years.
Yeah, I started before I was born.
It's like teaming with your grandfather.
Pauly, 49 years as a coach, huh? That's pretty impressive, huh?
I'm going to ask him to give me his all-star teams before he leaves today. His all-star track team female and his all-star cross-country team female. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him. He's had some awesome
Eddie,
athletes.
Is there any way you can describe in a short few minutes, since you guys are only here for 30 minutes today, a couple of your fondest memories as a coach? I mean, in all the years, is there a couple of things that stick out that are
there's a lot
of great things?
There's a lot of great things, and it would be tough to sort them all down.
Okay.
But we've had a lot of been fortunate to have a lot of great athletes and a lot of great runners. And to be a good runner, you've got to have a lot of dedication. And we've been fortunate to have that.
Well, it's quite a testimonial.
Yeah.
49 years.
Yeah.
Wow. My wife and myself have been married 46. You got us by 3.
Yeah, 3.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Joe, of course, Joe needs no introduction. Anyone who lives in the area, if you haven't heard about it, Joe Sposato, obviously you just came in from Moscow. Him and me have been longtime friends, and, of course, know his family very well. And he always made me feel good when we used to broadcast his games. His mom always listened to the broadcast, Joe.
Yes,
she would make comments, good and bad, and she took exception to one of my broadcast partners, Jack DiPalato, for giving you a nickname, the Little General.
Yeah, she really wasn't a Bobby Knight fan. And, she was more, she knew Jim Boeheim personally, so she was more of that ilk. She wanted to meet Jack DiPalato.
Yeah.
She really did. She had a few things to say to him.
But we had some good times. And you guys, back in those days when we were broadcasting your games, you always, Joe, you just reloaded. You didn't, you guys had a lot of great basketball teams in the years that we covered them on SFW. For the most part, you had a few down years, but not many. But I always remember thinking about this interview with you guys today. I can always remember Ed, you on the bench as his assistant, and he used to have this little towel that he would carry up and down the bench and wipe his brow. Mm-hmm. And I'm not so sure. And he had a tendency, speaking of Joe, that would take exception to a few officials' calls, just a few.
Just a few.
Yeah. And I was broadcasting from. He gave us great facilities, mid-court at Waterloo High School, and we had the best vantage point to broadcast games. Myself and Barnick and DePalato, Cotterill. And I always remember when Joe would get upset, when he really would get upset, Joe, when you would bring it to the 8th degree of upset, you would throw that little towel, sometimes at Ed or sometimes somewhere near the bench. And Ed, you remember some of those classic moments?
Well, Ed would be there and I'd say, did you see that? That was an awful call. And Ed would say, no, it wasn't. It was a good call. And I'd throw the towel at him. Right. So, that was...
some of the finest memories I have of Joe.
Right. It took a long time for Joe to realize I was always right.
That's right. You guys had a good team. And of course, I don't want to leave out our good friend Tom Benetti. Yeah. We got some great coaches.
Well, that in itself is a different job, okay?
But one thing about Sposato, he lived the game on his sleeve. He didn't show a lack of emotion for the game, and he played hard, he coached hard, and you produced a lot of good teams, and there were a lot of great memories. And, of course, it wasn't bad to have a bunch of Schweitzes come through your system either.
Just spent the weekend with one of them was visiting. Tommy Schweitz was back in town, and he ended up being an assistant coach for me for the last year I was coaching.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great time. We were good friends. I've made a lot of good friends from the players that we had.
I know.
It's been neat.
Neat. And by the way, Joe, you, of course, a reminder, our listeners and our viewers this morning here on the Dog and Pauly Show. It's good to have you with you on a Wednesday. Our good longtime friends of myself and Pauly. Of course, we can't forget about some of the great memories that I remember. Of course, Pat Denley making the shot from midcourt that beat Minders Academy. Some of the classic memories that I have of some of the greatest games that we ever broadcast took place in Waterloo. But Joe, of course, athletic director for how many years, Joe, there?
I did that 20 and a half years.
And we should tell people you retired from being the AD.
Correct.
When was that now exactly?
Exactly 2 years ago.
2 years ago. But I also find out that they brought you back into coaching golf, and that was not done by the present AD Jeff Panic. It was brought by Timmy Lincoln.
Tim was the interim. They had replaced me with someone that lasted a year. And Tim came in, and it was the day before the season. The golf coach had quit, and I was at Silver Creek playing, and he called me, and he said, I got golfers, I got no coach. He said, can I send them over? I said, yeah, I'll take them. So this is the second year of it, and we only had 6 kids last year, and we've reloaded. We have 12 now, and got off to a good start. We've got a tough contest against Geneva today, but it's a completely different kind of coaching.
Sure.
And I don't need a towel. I don't. There's
no
referees, which is important.
Right. No technicals.
No technicals. We're in pretty good shape with this one. We can do this.
Well, Pauly, you of course have.
It's a transition that I'll never go watch him coach golf because I always thought. I had watched great shows over the years, and Milton Berle and all Jackie Gleason, and Joe had one of the greatest shows on earth.
He did.
He was the only guy. I watched Benetti berate officials with his back turned to him, out of the corner of his mouth like this, and Joe went face up to him, like that. And they were never intimidated by Joe. I mean, for some reason, I don't know whether size entered into it, and they just figured I just said to him. But it was a good show. It was a good, and it was intense. Yeah. And Joe's basketball teams.
Oh, they were good.
Good, bad, or indifferent. They stressed the fundamentals, and they always played defense. Mm-hmm. And I always believed in the game. Joe told me one time when he was young in his coaching career, we had a bunch of kids coming through the system, and they were in St. Mary's, some of them were in junior high. And they were the Schweitzes and the Haltenbrinks and the Dennis Bennett's and the Mikey McGuans and the Pauly Helstroms. And I said, what do you need to get this program to the next level? And Joe said to me, you give me 3 or 4 kids that can shoot the ball, we can do the best. We can't teach shooting. We can teach defense. We can teach the fundamental. Give me some shooters, and he got some shooters, and they had a couple of good programs, and they beat Geneva High in Newark in those days, which was no far cry. With Geneva had Tyrone Scott, and a lot of memories for Joe. We've had a lot of memories, and I watched them after that, and I watched them before that. And
the sad part about today, even if you go watch the top 2 teams in the league, I don't care who they are,
right?
And I'll go watch a game.
Yep.
As the chairman of the league, I'll go watch a game, and let's say it's Geneva versus Minders. They've both been pretty good lately.
Right.
Place isn't packed.
No, I know.
Place isn't sold out.
It's
and
amazing.
I can remember
always to be tough crowd.
Praying that the fire marshals didn't walk into Waterloo High School when we used to play the Waterloo Geneva games.
They were packed.
When it was just absolutely. It was if the gym was at 60 degrees with nobody in it, it was at 90 degrees by the time game time.
Yeah.
And those days were fun, and they're not here anymore.
We used to have huge audiences listening to the games because they didn't want to fight the crowds.
I can remember when John Sweitz played junior high basketball. The Main Street gym would be rocking. We would have problems with people.
Oh, wow.
Remember those days?
Yes.
That was junior high.
That's unbelievable.
And the high school games don't even get those. At the little junior high gym, people were hanging off the stairs and everything else.
It's too bad.
That was a fun time.
There's a lot of things going on today. It's for following sports. I go. My granddaughter Izzy is in Geneva, and we're going Saturday to JV cheerleading. She got made JV cheerleading for Geneva High. 11 o'clock game on Saturday, her opening game. So we do attend some of the events for my granddaughter Izzy. But I remember the days of broadcasting the games. It would be a thrill because we parked our van right out in front of the school. Joe would always allow us to park that thing right out there. And to walk in, cars galore, crowd rocking and rolling during the JV game, getting excited, And it was just amazing. And
signs on the door, sold out.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And and Paul was in the crowd, and I was broadcasting most of the games, and it was just such a thrill to do a games with that much fever. And by the way, South Seneca Romulus, same thing.
Same thing. Absolutely.
It was amazing. Go out there, Allman, the coach for Romulus, and of course the legendary Jack Heinen, who passed away for South Seneca. And those games were like Hatfield McCoys. I mean, they were just brutal. It was just great brand of basketball. And you're never going to replace that.
That was our team.
Yeah.
That was the whole town of Waterloo and Seneca Falls. That was our team. It wasn't the basketball team. It was our basketball team. Now it's. You even ask the kids in school, you're going to the. I don't care about the basketball team. But what do you mean you don't care about the basketball team? We had the Crazy Crew. We had this stuff. And now we built this beautiful complex. My running career started on a 5-mile track at Walnut Street. I had trouble going around that 0.2 of a mile track. Look how far we've come. We got these facilities, and we don't have the support. Look at the Super Saturdays.
10 o'clock in the morning,
leaning on that storm fence at Lafayette Field. It's going to go over. So, it was just the way it was. It was our team. Yeah. I'm from Geneva. I'm the outsider. I'm the alien here. I got caught up in the fever for the flavor. I mean, it was just something you look forward. You counted the days, and nowadays, like you say, you go to a basketball game, there's 200 people in the gym that holds twice as many as it used to. And like Ed says, I think the players can raise it to another level if it was like it was before. That's one thing you just can't.
Oh, we lived on Green Street. Gino Pauly, big sports fan, goes to a lot of the games, still does, I believe. And, of course, Super Saturday, you guys were loaded. Minders was loaded. It was the culmination of the season, both undefeated teams. And we were broadcasting the game, and Gino started backing out of his driveway right across the street from where we lived. And I went outside, and I said, "Where are you going?" "Well, got to go to Waterloo, get a seat." Like 10:20 in the morning on a Saturday. Broadcast time, game time was 1 o'clock. I said, 10:20? I knew it'd be a big crowd. Of course, I'm thinking, we're broadcasting, so we park right out front, go right in, and we got a broadcast booth, even though Joe made it just about tall enough to get, somebody who's 5 foot tall to get through it.
We always felt that if you didn't like it, Larry Fitch could do it. Okay.
Every time I went up to the booth, I'd bang, hit the head, Barnick, hit the head, and we used to curse Joe off the air, of course, for building that wonderful facility. But, I never could imagine. And then, we wouldn't get there till around 11:30, 11:45, like an hour before broadcast time. In the place, like Paul says, 6-8 deep around the stadium. What? I mean, you knew it was a big game.
Right.
And it was just nothing like it today. And you never can compare it with it.
I can remember Joe's group was in high school.
Yep.
Basketball, going to the sectionals.
Amazing.
Main Street School, we had 9 spectator buses. 9 spectator buses packed.
It's amazing.
Going to the sectionals. Today, we can't even fill a bus.
That's unbelievable.
To go to a sectional game.
Scary.
It's a things have changed.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I know one thing has changed that in Joe. I've been out of school since '63. We're going to be looking at 50 years in 2013. And you go by school lots, your school, miners, my school, whatever. The cars in the parking lot are better than the teachers. That's one change. They got better cars than the teachers.
They're mobile. They're working.
Back when we were at school, nobody had a car.
You know.
There were a few, but very few. You drive by Minders or Waterloo, look at the cars these kids are driving. Hello. They're carrying around $150 of spending money. Didn't get that in a year back then. The whole thing has changed dramatically. But listen, we're talking to Eddie Courtney and Joe Sposato, our good friends, longtime Waterloo coaches, and Joe, of course, a former AD. But they've only got 10 or 12 minutes to spend here with us, and they got to leave. But we want to talk about the Waterloo Hall of Fame coming up October 6th, a Saturday night. It's going to be at Abigail's Restaurant. Joe, how many years has the Hall of Fame been around?
We started in 1993.
Wow, 93.
So we were...
wow, 20 years next year then?
Yeah, I believe we came out the same year as Geneva, the city of Geneva's.
Wow. And how many total inductees do you have in the hall right now? Do you know a count or without? Maybe that's a fault.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I'm going to say 70, just throwing it
70, okay. Now, 2012, October 6th is Saturday night. Give us a rundown of the inductees and a little blip on each of them.
The individual inductees will be Bob Cox. He graduated in 1972.
Okay.
Was a cross-country basketball and baseball player. He was on 4 sectional championship teams. Wow. He went on to Hobart College and played varsity baseball for 4 years at Hobart back when they had baseball.
Okay.
He spent some time as a general manager in Class A and Class AA professional baseball. He's out of that now. So he's one. Stacy Evans Kregelstein, who was a great volleyball player for us, and on the team that went to the sectionals in the States in 1991. She graduated in 1993. She is currently living in Rochester. You might remember her husband Keith, that was an assistant at Seneca Falls Country Club for a while.
Absolutely.
And she is a member also right now of the Lemoyne College Hall of Fame. And then our contributor with his physical education background in Waterloo from 1969 to almost the year 2000, and former head football coach Jim Anderson. And Jim coached junior high sports at Waterloo for a million years.
Right.
And he was the head football coach back when Super Saturday 1 and Super Saturday 2 were going on. And he then went on to coach for about 6 to 7 years. As long as Jack Daniels was at Hobart, Jim was one of his assistant coaches. Right. And so we're doing that.
Right.
But the newest thing that Waterloo is, we were the last holdouts of no team induction.
Okay.
And this is going to be a team induction year. We've decided to go that route. Not that we will do it every year.
Right.
But it's the 50th anniversary this fall of Waterloo's undefeated football team of 1962, which in that particular year was the first time Waterloo and Minders met that we can recollect, where they both were undefeated.
Right.
And Waterloo won that game 27-0 with the Finger Lakes champs. So of the 42 people on that team, we've got 32 of them coming back.
Awesome.
And we have the head coach, Mike Ornato, and his wife will be here, and the two assistant coaches' wives. Unfortunately, the assistant coaches, Bill Belinsky and Jack Cashman, have passed away.
Right.
But their wives are coming from out of state. So
that's very nice.
We're looking forward to it. We're going to introduce them at the football game on Friday night, and then we're going to have a little party at Abigail's.
Now, a lot of discussion with your good friend Rod Verk. I know Miners just started their Hall of Fame, obviously, just a few years ago. Ironically, their Hall of Fame ceremony is the same night as yours at the college, New York Chiropractic College. But a discussion that I had with Rod, and you may have already told me this, but it's worth bringing up. Now, people who come to me and talk about Hall of Fames, it's the Waterloo High School Hall of Fame or Waterloo Hall of Fame. Is the credibility of what your committee looks at of exactly, people say to me, why should you consider what they did in college, or if they went to college, or if they did anything outside of high school? Is it predominantly what you're looking for in a candidate, what they did at Waterloo High, or is it in addition to what they did outside of Waterloo High? Because there's a disagreement amongst the people. Some people say that if it's a Waterloo High School Hall of Fame, it should be what they did in high school, only what they did. Because some kids didn't go to college. Well, I guess that's the point I wanted to get your view on.
Well, I think what it is, the extra afterwards separates them.
It does.
It separates them a little bit.
Okay.
You've got two athletes that are fairly equal.
Gotcha.
But then we've got some that go on to, for example, Kevin DeWall.
All right.
Goes on to Hobart and does well.
Very good.
Yeah.
So the point is that if, in retrospect then, would it be fair to say the kids who didn't go on to college might have a disadvantage from the committee's point of view?
Not necessarily. Because we have some that are in the hall right now.
Okay. Because people have asked me that. I don't know if they ever broached it with Paul. I get it at the diner and at the bar having a beer when the Hall of Fames come up and somebody gets inducted.
Right.
And they say, well, geez, this one has not got in yet. And I won't mention anyone's name. And I go, I don't know. And then I talked to Rod about his view on it, and he took the same attitude as you. It's extra points to their committee, meaning that if A and B are equal, and B went to school and did tremendously well, as far as in college, B might get a little edge on that.
Exactly.
And the other argument is, and Paul, I don't know if you ever heard this, and say, well, wait a minute, it's a high school Hall of Fame, so big deal. So what? A lot of kids don't go to college, so why shouldn't they be given the same credibility?
The great thing I like about it is they're talking about it.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And it generates interest.
Oh, I agree.
It generates the kids in school understand what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
It brings the current kids into the history of the sports program at your institution.
Right.
And to me, that's what it's all about, because you want to get some kind. And especially in this day and age, you're trying to generate interest.
I understand.
You really are. And
all the people talk to me.
The fact that they're talking about it's good.
That's right.
And if they think they have somebody that ought to be there, they need to take the time to
endorse them.
And send
the information.
Because in our situation, we look for a letter.
Right.
I'm not saying everyone is doing it that way.
No, I understand.
But we look for a letter.
Right.
And when it comes to teams, we did have to set up criteria.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a sport where there is a sectional contest or state contest, those are obviously the things that are going to be looked at.
Right.
Are you a sectional champion? Are you a state champion, et
Sure.
cetera? If you're in a sport that didn't have sectionals, the 1962 football team was perfect, but they couldn't go on to the sectionals because none existed in football.
True.
That's a whole different set of circumstances. So you have to, the age of people takes into consideration.
That's what scared me when we started talking about teams.
Right.
Because, we've got a lot of teams.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of teams, a lot of different sports that have done exceptionally well. And to try, this football team is perfect. The next one's going to be a lot harder to decide what team we bring in.
Right.
This team was perfect. It's 50th anniversary. Everything worked out, fell into place. But for the next team going in,
do you get comments without mentioning names about after your ceremony? Hey, this one should have got in.
Yes.
Hey, this one should have got in.
Oh, sure.
How come this one's not being considered?
Yep.
What's going on? I guess that's good.
Right.
And I just say write a letter.
Yeah.
And we are, maybe
now,
they were considered, but we felt, we take in a certain number each year. We don't do a blanket.
That's my other favorite one. Do you want all 462 perfect ones in this year, and we can end the situation, or are you going to let us do this little by little?
That's right.
I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
I'm going to jump in. The perfect thing about this situation, any Hall of Fame, is the bridge.
Yep.
They put the bridge between the kids of today and the school. Yep. And we can't let these kids think that it was about them. We got to let them know what the past was. Joe mentioned it.
Yeah.
You're bridging the communication between them, because the kids nowadays have a lot of reasons not to go to sporting events. Some of them they hold in the palm of their hand. Mm-hmm. Some of them are in their living room. Some of them are whatever they do now. And it didn't start with you. And I went to one of the Waterloo Hall of Fame things where a guy got up there 80 years old. He figured nobody was interested, and he said, you don't want to know that I was the fastest guy in the track. I think his name was Vic Montag. He
Yeah.
got up there,
Montag.
he spoke for 2 minutes. And he said, you don't want to know that I could carry three tacklers down the sideline. I weighed 140 pounds. You don't want to know all that. It doesn't mean anything to you. And he got up and he got down. He was the most impressive guy to get. I mean, I didn't know that, and I'm 74. I didn't know that he did that. So,
That's good.
You know, in other words, everybody thinks it started with them. Each generation think they invented everything. Let me tell you what. This has been going on, and we've had some great, and I appreciate the Hall of Fame bridging that gap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many is on the Hall of Fame committee that obviously vote on who gets in? How many is the totality of that?
We
Do you have
What is there, 12 of us?
12?
I think so, yes.
Do you have a 12-0 vote, or is it can be 7-5 in favor of induction?
We try to reach consensus.
Okay, I was just curious how that
No,
works
yep.
behind the scenes. Okay.
And it's hard to do.
I was gonna
because
say.
until I convince Joe my idea is right.
I bet.
Which, you know, as I get older.
Oh,
as
I
get
can
older,
imagine.
I'm widening my diversity here.
Oh.
We have a lot more discussions now than we did. It used to be, Joe, this is what I want to do. I go ahead.
I
shut
bet
up.
there's times, and I bet there's times where you say to Joe, "Can we go down the hall and go into a separate room and discuss this candidate?"
Exactly.
Okay, I like
Best
that.
one, Harold, was
Yep, I can imagine.
I always had this idea about going for the juggler vein
No, not you.
when you were having a run.
Okay.
So let's say we would be scoring on a spree of about 6 to 8 unanswered points.
Right.
And the other coach would call timeout. And it had nothing to do what we were playing a zone defense. They were just missing shots. We'd come down, score, come down, score,
Right.
come down, score. Ed would know it was coming. The other coach called timeout. I'd come in and they'd go, we're going diamond zone press. We're going for the kill. And we go, no, we're not. No, we're not. I said, yes, we are.
You know, we've had Harold and Paul.
Yeah.
We've had a great friendship. Over
Oh,
the
I know
years.
you have.
And we're different.
Yeah.
We're completely different.
No, I never would have known
completely
that.
different.
How about it, Paul?
And
Amazing.
But our friendship is gone. We
That's great.
for years and years and years.
Oh, I know.
You know, and you probably don't realize this, but Jim asked us to come down today.
Uh-huh.
He's thinking of starting the Joe and Ed show.
To replacing us, I hope.
They're going to call it Twins.
Just let me throw in quickly.
I knew
before
Jim
you
was
leave
trying to
it.
replace us. I wasn't sure it was you guys, though.
Joe was always the head coach.
Yeah.
Joe was always in charge, and most of the time you let him think he was in charge. But I would say at this stage of your careers that Joe has become more toward like you than you have him. You stayed the course. I think I see Joe.
Yeah. I've convinced him, Paul.
Yeah.
Over the years.
I want to live long.
A smile
Paul.
for Joe years ago was a grimace. Now he actually smiles. He's having fun, and I think you probably taught that to him. Life's too serious.
Well, you guys are getting out of here now. It's about 9:30, but I got to share one quick comment with Joe. As I had the privilege of putting on a headset and doing a lot of his games, basketball games, and of course you and him, and some of the great crowds, some of the great calls, play-by-plays that I had the opportunity to call. And I used to watch the officials and Joe interact. That's a good word. Yeah. And there'd be weeks go by, and I'd go back to do a game, and there was guys that were decent officials, and I never remember seeing them come to the gym at Waterloo. And so, I don't know, before game, I'd be down talking to Joe before we'd go on the air, and I'd say, Joe, that official there a couple weeks ago, he worked a game, and you guys kind of got into it. I said, he's not been back. And he just never said a word to me, just smiled, and I went, wow, the good thing didn't have that Holiday Inn Express, book a room continuously because you're not coming back. A lot of them never returned to Waterloo, and Joe had a good turnover, and those officials, they were, I don't know the black ball rule, but I think Joe invented it. There were people that
There were
never came
some
back.
Officials that
Never came
I
back.
wanted to come back. No. I tried to convince them.
Well, listen, guys, we know it's time. It's 9:30. We know we're going to get you out of here.
Okay.
We do appreciate you coming down. Good luck on the Hall of Fame, Joe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck on your coaching, and good luck on the golf team. And maybe next time you guys can come in and spend the whole hour with us. We got
We'd
a lot of
love it.
memories. Got a lot of
We'd
memories.
love it. We had a
And
great
just
time.
let
Bring
us.
some Paul Helstrom stories.
Well, just let us know when you're going to replace us sitting over on this side of the thing. Thanks, guys. All right.
Okay,
thank
All
you
right,
very
thanks.
much.
Eddie
Thank you very
Courtney
much.
and Joe Sposato.
Thanks.
Couple of legends.
Good to see you guys.
And these are. Thanks, guys. It's good to bring them in because of the fact that we've known them for a long, long time. We used to work with them, and Paul's been following them for years. And, of course, Pauly, that gives us a break. We do thank Joe Sposato and Eddie Courtney for joining us here on the Dog and Pauly Show. Again, they had commitments to make, so they can only stay for the 30 minutes. Well, Pauly, let's talk about our sponsors that make this show possible. I was driving by the Deluxe the other night. I didn't get a chance to stop in, but the parking lot was packed as usual, so things are just moving along.
Yeah, this right now, this is the last interruption,
Yep.
the last holiday of summertime,
Right.
Labor Day week, and this is the week where if you're going to do something with your family, you got to do it this week. So
Yep.
a few people got out of town, and I'm
Right.
sure they're vacationing. Camping, what a great year for camping.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what weekend you picked or anything like that. And there's also interruptions every week. We call them interruptions to the restaurant business, but they're not interruptions to people. This week is the St. Anthony's. It's the
That's
official
right.
end of summer.
Yep, it is.
The SMS at St. Anthony's Festival, I always consider
Yep.
it's official now. Summer is over.
I agree.
Of course, it's not until the 20th something
No, I know.
of September. But we've weathered all those, and like you said, the extreme heat of the summertime has made the Deluxe the place to be, and now this is the most exciting time of year for us because the pennant races start.
Yep, they are.
32 games to go.
Yep.
So you got that. You got the football season starting. College this
Starts
week.
this week, yeah.
Yeah, the pros next
week.
week, and we got boards, and we just got excitement galore up there, and
Yep.
And Charlie just loves this time of year. And people come in, and they just seem to be dancing. The kids are in school. Oh, free at last. And and then the games are going to start, and it's a lot of distractions from the everyday wearing you down in life. And that's when we want you coming in, and we want you relaxed. And they come in there, and Charlie makes an effort to make it relaxed for them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you say, it's always been family orientated. So I imagine if you got a couple of young kids, you got to get in and get out. But even if you got younger kids, 10, 11, 12, they come to the bar. Charlie has candy on the bar, and he has popcorn, and they watch the television.
Sure.
It's just a comfortable place to be. I mean, you've always been comfortable there, but
Always.
yeah, I've seen you comfortable almost anywhere. You adjust to the situation.
Hey,
but
give me a
Charlie
meat-
said that this was the best summer he's had in a long time.
Great.
And he really appreciates his customers, and you're not going to find a better place to come in. Charlie's wife works there, and now Charlie's got one of his sons, Dan, who played on Joe's golf team last year. He's working there, and Charlie, and they really appreciate your business. And when they smile at you and say thanks for stopping in,
They mean it.
You get the feeling that they mean it.
Yep.
And we really we enjoy being a sponsor of this show.
Yeah.
You don't need to say much. It's just a good place to be. And Charlie, thanks you.
Well, we do certainly, and it's I got to get up there. I need to get up there either with Mary or myself because of our schedule. We got a lot going on. Speaking of the St. Anthony's Festival, which we always frequent there to check it out because, as Paul said, it's some sort of part of our routine. Speaking of routines, I was at Lizards last night. Saw Scott Trickler at the Tailgater Lounge up there on 40 Church Street in Waterloo. He didn't have a huge crowd in the bar, but he had a few, and they were laughing it up and telling some funny jokes. And I donated a couple $2 to Quick Draw to help out the education in New York State. But it was fun. We had a lot of laughs. Coming up, Scott's got a lot going on. By the way, Lizards Tailgater Lounge, I didn't broach that with Joe. Joe Sposato is famous for being responsible for giving Scott Trickler the nickname of Lizard. You can define how you think he got that nickname. He was a fun-loving kid. Don't worry about that. And he was a heck of a baseball player, but he never quite made it to first team, I understand. But he enjoyed himself along with the legendary Bullhead up there as well. But they got a lot going on. This coming Friday, August 31st, the last day of the month, DJ Passalak Rock plus karaoke. On Saturday this weekend, they're going to have DJ Hancock with karaoke. And they're going to have all kinds of specials this weekend, Labor Day weekend. $1 Hoffman Hots and Burgers, $2.50 dozen clams, and $1.50 Keystone. Lots going on. Tonight, of course, is trivia night. Starts at 7 o'clock. $5 Coors Light pitchers, 35-cent wings. So, of course, don't forget, Lizards has the NFL ticket. So all the games in the NFL you can check out at Lizards. Tomorrow night, Thursday, free pool, 7 to 8:30, 15 wings and a cheese pizza for only $10. Lizards Tailgater Lounge, a fine sponsor of the Dog and Pauly Show. And by the way, Jim and Paul, I sent my good friends Ted Flock and Dick Marshall a autographed picture of Danica Patrick's smashed up Go Daddy Go. Pauly, you saw it in the paper, how smithereens. I signed it, love Danica. It's in the mail. We'll get it today or tomorrow. And I just want those boys to realize how she's doing. She finished 29th again with the big boys. And, of course, Bob Ullman, another great sponsor of this show. He's been emailing me back and forth. They're down south still. But him and Leslie are big fans of Danica, and they think I should lay off. Of course, I won't. But I sent him a note saying that she had a great race this weekend, finishing 29th, and her car looked really horrible, getting banged up. I think Reagan Smith might have been responsible for running into her this past weekend. By the way, NASCAR, Pauly, getting a little comfortable with the rules. They're getting a little more leeway. Tony Stewart threw his helmet at Matt Kenseth, who caused Stewart to spin out. No fine, no punishment from NASCAR. Wow. Things have changed. They want you to bang, and they want you little fisticuffs. They don't mind you throwing helmets at cars. What's happened to the world of racing?
What's happening to the world of racing? You got the last couple of years in racing, it got a little vanilla.
Yep.
They hit their peak 2 years ago. They started going down a little bit. They bought Danica in. Not. That didn't work. Okay. They got Junior finally winning a race and finally moving up in the points. That didn't work. Not. So what do you got to do? You got to get the old cagey veteran out.
There
Tony
you go.
Stewart.
Throw a helmet.
Tony, look at him go. Now, he's safely in the chase.
Yep.
Kenseth safely in the chase. They're riding side by side. They're going tap, tap, boom, boom, boogity, boogity. So what happens is that was one of the greatest shots I've ever seen. He caught the hood. He caught the windshield. It was a moment. They showed that. It's been on television 30 times this week.
I love it.
Poor Denny Hamlin won the race. A good guy.
Yep.
A lot of things happened this week to push racing forward because you're getting close to the chase. One more week, and then the chase. So there's people that are on the bubble of getting in. So Denny Hamlin, the good guy, wins the race. The best part of it for me is Hendrick didn't win. And so then Kenseth, he's for Roush, and Tony Stewart's for who he is for himself. I guess he is, and he's a big institution. But a lot of exciting racing. Everybody's looking forward to this week now because of what's happening, and there's a couple teams on the bubble. So I took a big, giant step forward. Danica got tapped out by Reagan Smith, and I don't know what Reagan Smith was racing for, not much. And she looked like she was headed to finish the race. Maybe she was hovering around 20th.
Yeah.
But that's still not going to get it done because I think your original bet was 21st.
Yeah.
The top half of the field if she ever got in there.
Those boys haven't come back to me for that $5 bet again. I'm waiting for them.
No, I think they're sitting at a pay.
I still have pitch. Yeah. But that's okay. I'm waiting for Ted Flock and Dick Marshall to re-up that bet any day, boys. Just call the dog, 1-800-DOG, and we'll be more than glad to negotiate that $5 because I do feel bad. I still got that money framed at home. By the way, Dick Marshall's got some cars out there. If you're looking for a car for your son or daughter, school starts next week, baby. Are you parents happy or what? A week from today it starts. Up in Geneva, I don't know about Minders, but my granddaughter's school begins on the 5th, I believe they go back. But school is coming, and all these parents, I got a big smile on their face. I don't know why. It's time for the kids to go back to school. But seriously, if you need a car for your grandmother, your mom, your dad, your son, your daughter going to Brockport or Oswego, need something reliable, check out Dick Marshall. He's got 5 or 6 cars out there. I was driving by the last few days. He's got some vans. He's got some smaller cars. Check it out. There's always prices on the window, but they're negotiable. I'm sure Dick can negotiate with you. And again, I keep hammering this home. Dick Marshall's auto sales on routes 5 and 20. If you buy local, he's going to fix it locally. And his great Tommy Thompson, the only mechanic he has on duty, but he's good enough. He'll schedule you an appointment. He won't take advantage of you. He'll get the job done, and he'll do it with a fair price. And when he tells you it's going to get done, it's done. One thing I hate is to go to garages and sit around for hours and hours waiting for my car. If he says 8 o'clock and you ask him how long it's going to take to fix it, 1 hour. By 9:05, you're on the world, baby. That's what I want to see in my anal old age. So Dick Marshall, fine sponsor of the Dog and Pauly Show. Well, I've been negotiating or going back and forth with the Omens. They're down south. They were kidding me about Danica, and they want me to lighten up. Of course, that will never happen, as you know. But the Ullman Theater, and, of course, we were proud to cover the Newark Pilots this year. We look forward to expanding some coverage next year. Obviously, we'll talk about Newark during the wintertime as they negotiate and work on bringing some new college kids in, even though there's some that are coming back from this year's team. But the Ullman Theater over in Lyons, New York, they got some shows performing this weekend, starting up on Friday, Hope Springs, and, of course, Meryl Streep and Tommy Lee Jones, my wife and Sandy Lopez. I don't know if Barr Peck went with them last night. They went to see this movie, Hope Springs, Paul. It's a must-see with you and Helen. Hilarious. Hilarious. It is one of the best, funniest movies about a couple that tries to rekindle their marriage and rekindle their love interest and rekindle them communicating with each other after several years of marriage. Mary said her and Sandy cried through the whole movie, so it's a must-see. Hope Springs performing at the Ullman Theater Friday at 7:30. Over the weekend, Labor Day weekend, they have show times on, Saturday and Sunday, 2, 4:30, and 7:30. It is a must-see. You're going to crack up. And the campaign will be performing there on September 7th, 8th, and 9th. On September 7th, showtime 7:30. On the 8th and 9th of September, hard to believe we're talking September, aren't we? 4:30 and 7:30. And we go to Jimmy Senecropi now, a director of the Seneca Falls Country Club. Jimmy, we made arrangements yesterday to go on the road next week to do a reciprocal. We were gonna go to Highland, but they're aerating the greens, so we're heading over to Clifton, weather permitting. But with our luck, Hurricane Isaac should be arriving next Monday. So, we could get deluge, but we don't know. But we're heading to Clifton, our foursome. So
great track over at Clifton.
Oh yeah, I haven't played in a few years, but I did play it several years ago. I can't remember the layout of the course, but we're looking forward to going over there. We have an 8:30 time. Fingers are crossed that we will be able to play because they say the weather should be coming to the Finger Lakes. They're not sure how much we're going to get, but they're saying middle afternoon on Monday it should affect the area, whatever's left of Hurricane
Yeah,
Isaac.
it's a little early to tell on that.
It is.
With meteorologists, they go 48 hours. After that, I think that's just a crapshoot.
I know.
Right now, it is churning over New Orleans.
Oh,
it's not moving at all. It's just like...
but all that work they did, the Corps Army engineers has really worked. Those levees have held.
Yeah, they got a lot of flooding, but the major stuff, the levees.
Yep.
Thank God.
$14 billion they put in since Katrina.
It better work then.
Isn't that ironic? It's the 7th anniversary today of Katrina.
Wow, I didn't know that.
7th anniversary, Paul. Is that weird or what?
Yeah, that's
the
something.
Anniversary of 7 years today, and they get whacked today. Now, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it probably brings back a lot of bad memories, I'm sure.
But a lot going on at the country club. Lots of tournaments, lots of events.
Yeah. We got...
the club championship starts up this weekend.
Yeah, the club championship, 16 guys qualified. I wasn't one of them.
Okay.
I didn't make it this year, unfortunately. But 16 guys did. 14 guys qualified, 2 exemptions. Last year's defending club champ, Doug Brown, and our stroke play champion, Arthur Lyons. The 2 seed is Ed Boudreau, who shot a medalist 71 in the qualifier. Now they play match play NCAA basketball tournament style.
116, 215.
Yep, 2 matches on Saturday that gets it down to the Final Four, which is played on Sunday, probably about 10:30, and then Monday a 36-hole final on Labor Day, which is one of the special things that we got going on down at Seneca Falls. And big gallery, especially if the weather's good. We get big galleries for those Final Four matches and the final match, and it's open to the public. You can come down, you can walk along, or if you're there early enough to get a cart, you can rent one. We have about 50 carts, but sometimes, like I say, when the weather's good, they're all out there following that final match.
Mary and myself will be there. That's something we never miss.
Yeah, it's you talk about sports a lot on here in local sports, but that is really a special event, and you get to see some real amazing golf. And
it is fun.
More often than not, the 2 guys that are competing are friends, and have golfed together. And to go 36 holes, it's fun. It's worth the watch if you like golf or if you like competition. And you got a light schedule on Labor Day. Head down to Seneca Falls. The first 18 goes off early in the morning, around 7:30. They play 18 holes. They have lunch, and then they go back off around noonish, probably, for the second 18 match play.
We've done it for years. I mean, a couple of years where it poured rain or was miserable weather. I'll be honest with you, I went down for a little bit. Mayor's not a big mutter in regards to watching golf in that conditions, but if the weather's decent, and according to the forecast, it's supposed to be good until later in the day. But like Jim says, we're still out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're still out 4 days, so we don't know what's going to happen. But I have had the opportunity with Mary to take a cart and go around and to check out the action, and it is fun. Whether Steve Hyde's playing Doug Brown or whether Eddie Boudreau is playing Arthur Lyons, being a member down there along with Jim, you know all these guys. You like all these guys. You know whoever's hitting the better golf shots. And with match play, keep in mind, it's a 36-hole final. So what might happen is, if you don't follow this, I would urge you to come down and check it out, because you could literally have Eddie Boudreau jump out to a 4-up lead after 6, But keep in mind, there's still 30 holes left.
Yeah.
So momentum is a weird thing in that match play. And with 36 holes, Tiger Woods once was down 6 when he was an amateur, and he came back and won it. So not to say it doesn't happen where you dominate somebody and you close them out early. It does. I'm sure it's happened in the history of the club. Like a lot of these local clubs, whether it be Clifton or Highland or Geneva or whatever, Silver Creek, but it's going to be interesting, and I look forward to watching it. We, of course, will be doing the Weber on Sports Show on Monday morning. I guess we got to talk to Jim.
Oh, and we'll probably move that ahead till Tuesday.
Maybe we'll move it to Tuesday, right?
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, we have the show, but we can move it to Tuesday. It's not a big deal. Well, we're going to have to move it to Wednesday because I'm going to Clifton, but we'll figure that out. Yeah. We'll figure out the time slot. But it's an exciting time. They'll have beverages down there for you, reasonable price. They'll have food stand ready for you to enjoy as well.
Hot dogs and hamburgers probably on the patio. Now, listen, if you want to play golf and not watch golf,
there you go.
To the end of the month, which is just a few more days, foursome special, $100 for your foursome. That's $25 a man. But starting in September, the deal is going to be $25 a man, golf with cart. So
nice.
$25 gets you out on that golf course with a cart. You play your 3.5, 4 hour round, come in and have lunch. Fall golf is really it's some of the best golf.
And we want to thank our good friend Bob Fuller and the President Carol Ganzon for being a sponsor of the Dog and Pauly Show. Of course, we hope to have on Mr. Fuller in a couple, 2-3 weeks from now to decide where we are. The championship will be completed. There'll still be some golf down there. I remember way back when I played golf with our foursome the day after Thanksgiving, and it was like 58 degrees. Wind was blowing, but it was really nice to play that late. So
it's a great half-year deal going on, too, now. $300 gets you in there as a single, $500 for a family or joint. Makes you a member now through the entire 2012 season, and then they take what you paid and deduct it off your 2013 membership. So definitely, if you're looking to play a lot of golf this fall, that's a great deal, and it puts you ahead of the game going into next year as well. So 315-568-5202 is the number down at the golf shop.
Good.
At Seneca Falls. Give them a call if you're interested.
Excellent.
Before you leave that,
Go ahead,
on golf, I just want to say that I follow golf.
Yep.
I've never golfed. I'm not a golfer.
Right.
And I just want to say that the effort that the Seneca Falls Country Club is making to become your country club is incredible. With this year, they've put an effort out there. I mean, with the food, with the kitchen, with the comfort level for people, with the sandwiches, with the family atmosphere, with the support. And Jim's talking about support and going down and watching the club championships. I know for a fact because when I was younger, I watched some of my classmates that were playing for championships in Geneva, and I hear how many go to the Wayne and that stuff. It's immediate family and the golfers.
Yep.
There's nobody there. And Jim said there's a good crowd there. Sometimes they get rid of fifth.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
It's your country club. And it sounds like the people are making an effort to become part of it. I just hope it's enough for the effort that everybody's put in. The one I know the best is Bob. I mean, I don't know the other people behind the scenes, and I don't want to leave anybody out, the cooks, the greenskeepers, nice everything like that. This is, if you're ever going to join a country club, whether it's social member, whether it's, I know nothing about how that works, but I do know one thing. It sounds like they're trying to become part of the community and part of the, and I think that would be, and I admire them for what they've done this year. There's been other efforts in the past. They've tried to learn from their mistakes, and this group took it forward, and I hope it works for them.
Yeah, every year we try to learn a little bit from the past, and of course we keep our fingers crossed that there's good weather.
Yep.
But
that's a key.
Well, you've had the weather this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you really can't whine too much about the weather, but the people who tell me, I've talked to friends of mine who have gone down there and played. They play course after course, and Ivo Polkai and different guys that you guys know, and they said incredible course. And these guys play Mansfield, Wellsboro, they play Clifton, Auburn, blah blah blah. So
Seneca Falls is in good shape.
It's not for lack of effort. So if you want something and you don't want to see it leave you, go down and support it, and it'll be there for you.
Absolutely.
And by the way, speaking of support, myself and Mary and the Lopez's went on Monday to the Great New York State Fair. Let me give you a bulletin. Attendance is down big time. They have drawn 48,000 people less same day-to-day comparison They opened up last Thursday. There are 48,000 people down. That's a lot of people.
Especially when the weather's been good.
And the weather's been real good. We went Monday. It was a little humid, not bad. We take the bus. We go to Auburn. We do the senior citizen route. We leave our cars there. The Lopez's, Sandy and Jean a legend, Sandy a legend as well. Got on the bus. For senior citizens, baby, it's $2 each way, so it's $4 per person, Pauly. Back and forth, right at the front gate. Leave your car at the Auburn Mall. Goodbye. Air-conditioned bus, priceless. They drop you right off at the gate. And, oh, by the way, you want to leave? We got there about 11:30ish. We left around 5. We took the 5 o'clock bus home. You want to leave a half an hour or an hour later? Every half hour, the buses leave. I mean, it's the greatest deal since McDonald's burgers, folks. It's awesome. Senior citizen, I mean, I think you have to be over 60. We qualified. But it's a great deal. Why do you want to drive your car? My John King was telling me, I don't want to have my car with me. Why? You park your car, you got to walk a half a mile to the gate. Secondly, when you get out of the fair, I defy anybody to put their finger up top of their car hood and their top of their roof and pick up about an inch and a half of soot. I mean, you need a car wash. I have done that. I've been there, done that. I used to take my car, drive down with Mary and Samantha. You need a car wash. I'm telling you, folks, that where they park you, all that dust flies up. It's not worth it. So take the bus. It's the easiest, most simple way of doing it. We had a ball. But, Jimmy, Pauly, 48,000. Now, the reason they're saying in the paper this morning, they have fewer big acts. Bon Jovi, they were trying to book him, couldn't get him. Springsteen, by the way, placed tonight, I believe, at Vernon Downs. That's quite a coup for them. But, Pauly, if you don't bring the big acts into town, we're talking like Lady Antebellum or Justin Bieber, who was there, I think, last year, the year before. The attendance, I tell you what, we're sitting there having a cold beer the other day waiting for the girls. They're in one of the fine places there, the buildings. I lose track. I don't go in any of the buildings. Mary does. And Mary had a pal to go with her the other day, Sandy. Mary brought out 16 bags of stuff that she bought. Sandy brought out 0 bags. But I'm telling you, you sit there and you look at the crowd, Pauly, walking up and down those thoroughfares at the fair, you can tell the attendance is dropped considerably. The economy, price of gas, and people say, and the vendors say, they're not sure if they're coming back next year unless they can book some big acts. So, not to say they're going to belly up, Paul, but that's an issue there. 48,000 people less.
Yeah, sounds like they got to have a change of venue or something.
They got to have bigger acts. They got to have bigger acts.
There's more than one senior day this year.
2,
I think they
Monday
have
and
2
Tuesday.
senior days, and that's good.
Yep.
And they have buses for the seniors to get there and buses for them to get back. But the seniors also have limited assets.
Sure.
And they're maybe have to stay home and pay a bill, and they can't. I definitely think that most of this falls on economic times.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it falls on the entertainment, because a lot of people that go to that entertainment don't make it a day at the fair and then go they come in there 5 o'clock, go to the act at 7 and they're out. But you're right. I thought they had some fairly good names there this year from what I heard.
They claim they only had, I don't follow that stuff like I used to, but they claim they only had 3 or 4 decent draws compared to normally 6 or 7 in previous years. And by the way, the reason you can't book some of these big acts is the expense. These big acts want more money, obviously. And, you meet my price or we don't come to Syracuse and do the state fair. But the vendors, they were interviewing the beer vendors and they were interviewing the food vendors of some certain areas of that fair. And they were quoted in the paper this morning. One guy said at this time a year ago, he had taken in $16,000 in revenue, and day to day, year to year, he brought in $9,000 this year. So he's off $7,000. Now, Pauly, you ran a business. Jim runs a business. $7,000 to a small businessman. It's a lot of cash. A lot of cash.
Yeah, you'd have trouble getting anybody to work for less now than they did 4 or 5 years ago.
So,
anywhere in America, any kind of business. So, they're just going to have to wait to find a way to go forward.
It'll be interesting, but I just thought I'd pass it on. If you haven't been to the fair, check it out. Do the bus route if you want to have a comfortable setting. It's really worth the. Now football starts this weekend. Everybody's excited. I know Jim is. Northwestern comes to the Dome. ESPN 2
noontime.
Points and a half spread. The odds makers. Yeah, Vegas likes Northwestern by
For
a point and a
Syracuse.
half.
Huge game for Syracuse.
Oh, I agree. They got to get off on the right foot.
They got USC next week in New Jersey.
Yep.
If they can't beat Northwestern at home and then they go down and get their butt kicked by USC, they come back to Stony Brook in the Dome. There'll be 10,000 people there.
Yeah, I know. You're probably
Now,
right.
if they
You're probably right.
beat Northwestern,
Play
no matter what happens against New Jersey, the fan interest will stay. But, personally, I think that we got a good team. We got a senior quarterback. We got a core of running backs. We have little questions on the offensive line. We got playmakers at wide receiver. I love the defense from top to bottom. A little concerned about the secondary because we lost Phillip Thomas, who was the team's leading tackler. But we got Shamarko Thomas and Jeremy Wilkes back there. I mean, I think we're set to have a great season. The only thing going against us is that our schedule is really difficult. So win this first game against Northwestern and then take it one game at a time. And I'm one of the few people that think that we got a shot against USC. They lost one of their starting quarterbacks to academics, or cornerbacks, not quarterback.
Right.
If they lost their quarterback, their senior quarterback, that would be great.
Barkley.
But they lost a cornerback. And keep in mind, they got to fly all the way across the country. Sure. And so when you get teams moving from different time zones, strange things happen. And I was in the Dome in 1984.
I know.
When Syracuse, nobody gave them a chance to beat number 1 Nebraska.
I remember it. I remember it.
With Mike Ciano catching one down the sideline.
I remember that
and
game.
we won that game. And that led to 3 years later, the undefeated team in 87.
Yep.
So when programs turn, it's usually a defining game like playing a USC or a top-ranked Nebraska.
Hey, they put on their pants just like Syracuse does. Does USC have better talent? You'd have to say they do. Either they have more 4 and 5 stars, based on the ratings game? Yes. And Barkley, the quarterback, with all due respect to Naismith, nice kid, but he's not a Barkley. Barkley is, Barkley, he's an NFL number 1 draft pick. He's the Heisman Trophy front runner before he even takes a snap. But Jim's right. You still have to play the game. You never know what's going to happen in the world of sports. But I agree with you. I have been bad-mouthing SU football and the librarian Doug Marone for years because I never thought he was the right fit there. I still don't think he's the right fit. And I'll maintain that. And I did a commentary on my show on Monday, and somebody grabbed me afterwards at a bar saying, hey, you picked on Darryl Gross. You really hammered him hard. You got to lay off the guy. As Jim reminds me, and as Brad Jones always has a famous line, let the data speak. Since Darryl Gross arrived in Syracuse as the athletic director, making promises that the team would be much more competitive in football than they have been, that is on tape, and I can pull it up for you if you want me to. 27 up, 57 down under his watch. 27 wins, 57 losses. I didn't make that number up, folks. That's what Darryl Gross has seen since he's arrived. I'm not saying Darryl Gross is the coach. He's the AD. But he made promises about improvement. And what we're saying this year.
He made a big mistake when he hired Greg Robinson.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that took us back.
I agree.
And he made Marone's problem a lot harder.
I totally
and Robinson's
agree.
out of coaching. He coached the Michigan defensive coordinator for a while, and he's gone.
I agree.
Right. He can't get a job now. Not a good coach. He has Super Bowl ring, but not
totally
a good
agree
coach.
with
So
you.
that buried us.
Yep.
But we're on the way back. I really believe it.
It'll be interesting. But 27 up, 57 down doesn't paint a very glowing picture. You got to turn that around. And like Jim says, you got to start winning some of these games. And I don't expect – nobody in the world expects them to beat USC.
But beat Northwestern on Saturday.
Bingo.
Come on.
That's right. You get them at home. You got opening game. The place will be rocking.
We got new ribbon board in the Dome. We got two ribbon video around the whole third deck. 2 new giant video screens in either end. The only thing, it's supposed to be hot, and it's going to be a steamer in there for any fans that are heading out to that game, which I don't think I'm going, unfortunately, just because it's St. Anthony's Festival.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, I'll be watching it on TV, but I'm not going to be able to make it up, which is really bothering me.
I know.
Yeah. I'll jump in just to say that so we can get off it.
Right.
But I think, like Jim says, I think it's a 1-game season for Syracuse.
Yep.
And I think it commences at 12:05 this Saturday.
Win, baby. Just win it.
What they're expected to do against USC is nothing. CSC is the Golden Boys. I'm so tired of seeing that blonde-haired kid on television. He did the right thing. He came back for a senior year.
He's good.
I can't play football, and I want to hit him. So the team of that game will take care of itself. And if they're 1-0 in going in there,
Right.
and they got this Golden Boy coming in, and they've picked up players from Penn State. They got this. It's like an all-star team. I mean, if I'm a coach, I don't have to do much coaching to tell those guys go out there and show them that the people in Syracuse know how to lay a lick on people.
Sure.
And that game, if they keep it even competitive, but Northwestern, I don't care what the score is, 21-17.
Win-win.
It sounds like we got a little better than average defense. It sounds like we might have some skilled players on offense. So I think we'll be able to score some points against Northwestern. Question is if we can shut them down a little bit. And I'd like to see that game being 28-17 Syracuse, and going in. We'll take the season one game at a time, but the whole season starts out.
Jim's right. This is a key game. I expect them to beat Northwestern, but Jim's right. This is a huge game because a loss sets a bad tone.
Yeah, the fans
now you're at home.
will bail. They're sick of losing.
Right, the fans are getting tired. I pick on the librarian. I call him Marone. I pick on him. But the fans at Syracuse, even the students at Syracuse, have got to wonder what's up. And if they lose Saturday, they leave there. They head to the varsity for a piece of pizza or a sub, and they go, oh, God, here we go again. Here we go again. So, this one this week is probably paramount in as far as the SU season. Get off to a good start. Nobody expects you to beat Southern Cal. Jim might dream of it, but nobody on the world expects. Anybody who knows anything about college football does not expect Syracuse to beat Southern Cal. Can it happen? Sure, it can happen. Remember the Mets of '69? Anything is possible in the world of sports. Jim brings up the Nebraska game. I remember watching it. I almost fell off the couch.
Yeah, I learned a lesson as a young fan.
I couldn't
there. I
believe
was
it.
like in 6th grade, I think, at the time. So they put me about 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember going up to the game and saying that we don't got a chance. We don't got a chance.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, about halfway through the game, I realized they do got a chance, and that changed. That there's certain moments or defining moments that make anybody a fan of a certain team. I was a Syracuse fan, but being in the Dome when they beat Nebraska, that really solidified it for me. And then, 8 years later, I went to school there, and I've been living and dying with them ever since. But if they lose Northwestern, get beat by USC, they're going to come back to an empty dome to face Stony Brook, and then everybody's going to be wondering when Boeheim's back for basketball.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, this week definitely belongs to college football.
Yep.
They open up early, but the following week belongs to the NFL.
Yep.
And the pennant chases.
Yes.
This time,
it's a great time
going
of year.
forward, there'll be about 20 games left in baseball later on next week. This week there's a month of games left. I think there's 30, 31, 32 games.
Right.
The races are kind of taking shape. There's not too many that are real close to
How about
interesting.
Baltimore? Amazing.
Baltimore's not going away.
3 games
That's
back.
Amazing.
Tampa.
Only 2 teams can go there, basically. I mean, Tampa Bay and Baltimore.
They lost last night, Tampa did.
Tampa lost. They've got a good baseball team. Baltimore's right there. I think these teams all got to play each other. I think the Yankees got to play Baltimore and Tampa.
Forever.
I think they've got to play. So this could get really crazy. I mean, you could have there are 2 wild cards now, right? You could have them both coming out of.
If you don't win the
One
division, you have a 1-game playoff in Major League Baseball this year, and one and done. So it's theoretically you could. They were talking about this last night. The Yankees could win 103 games. Baltimore could win 101 games. You could win over 100 games or close to 100 games and be forced because you didn't win the division. You got to play Jimmy's team the next day in a 1-game playoff. That is scary.
It's weird,
but. That's why they put so much emphasis on divisional winners this year. The Yankees only leading Baltimore. Again, I keep hammering you folks, and I'm going to keep hammering you. Loss column. Don't look at the win column. Loss column. All you work at. You never can make up a loss, folks. You can make up a win, though. If you haven't played somebody because of rain outs, you're going to get that game in. Believe me. Loss column. Today, Yankees up by 3 against Baltimore. What a year for the Orioles, and I've been bad-mouthing them for 20 years. 3 games up on them, 5 games up on Tampa. The rest of the league, forget about it. Don't worry about Toronto. Don't worry about the Red Sox. Put a fork in Boston. They're out of it. Goodbye. So it's Tampa out 5. Baltimore, as we broadcast this show, out 3 tonight, or this afternoon, 1:30, Yankees, Toronto on Yes Network. So it's going to be interesting. And, Pauly, before you go to your closing comments, we wrap this baby up. Jimmy talks about Southern Cal and Syracuse a week from Saturday. I'm always reminded about anything is possible in the world of sports. I recall watching a basketball game And I remember a certain team from Virginia favored by 46 points against a school called Chaminade. And I remember to this minute.
Ralph Sampson.
Yep, Ralph Sampson for Virginia. And I recall them losing to Chaminade. And I went, Chaminade, what is that, a soap? I didn't even know it was a school. I will never, ever. He talks about Nebraska losing to Syracuse as the number one team in the country at the Dome. I remember Ralph Sampson. It looked like an intramural game. It looked like here comes this Virginia. Ralph Sampson. Who's Chaminade? And the Chaminade beat him. I'll never forget as long as I live. So anything is possible. Paulie, any wrap-up comments?
No, that's just it. I'm excited about the start of the NFL. I had
Yeah,
my
I am
fantasy
too.
draft
I am
Monday
too.
night. I had my fantasy
Who
draft.
did you get, Paul?
I
had
didn't
a
take
draft
any
too.
Giants. I didn't get any Giants because I don't want to put that kind of pressure on.
I got Hakeem Nicks in the third round in my draft.
Okay.
I went Brady, Marshawn Lynch, Hakeem Nicks were my first three picks.
Brady.
Okay, you took a quarterback first. See, I had the 3, so I was lucky enough to have Ray Rice fall to me in the first round.
Nice.
That was 3. 18 coming back. I picked up Julio Jones. 23 going back out. I picked up Greg Jennings. And then 38 coming back, I picked up Brandon Marshall. I went with the receivers.
So that's pretty good. Who did you end up with quarterback?
And I got him in the 7th round. He was projected the 6th round quarterback. I picked up Matt Ryan.
That's a good team. You got Jones too. So
Atlanta's got White catches 100 balls every year. Julio Jones is going to catch 90 this year.
He might catch more than White
And
this
the old
year.
man that's supposed to retire, touchdown Tony Gonzalez, he'll catch 80. He does every year. He's almost 100 now. But, I like my team. And my defenses, I love my defenses. I picked up Houston and Philly. I just want to say that there's no pressure on the Giants this year. Tommy, you're all set, buddy.
No
They picked you third in your division. You won the Super Bowl last year. They picked Philly to win it, Philly to bury you twice. They picked Dallas to beat you again, and we all know what that's going to go. Last year, Washington beat the Giants twice, and the Giants are Super Bowl champs.
Right.
So I feel as if Tommy loves the way it fell out this year. He's getting no respect or the Rodney Dangerfield. They got a deep team. The Giants are deep this year. They got to keep Bradshaw healthy. Got a great quarterback. In one book that I had, Peyton Manning was rated 7th. Eli was rated 11th. What's he got to do?
I know it.
What's he got to do? 11th ranked quarterback. 2 Super Bowl championships. I love him. He just sits there and goes, oh, shucks, I'm not that great, you know. Like he said, my favorite comment for him is the beginning of the season when they started. I'm the 3rd most popular quarterback in New York, and I'm the 3rd most popular quarterback in my family. And so I think that guy, as long as he's back there, he takes his hits. He never points to a lineman. He never complains. And got a great receiving core. You got Knicks. They got that Cruz. They got a couple of big kids, 6'3", that Randall, to play for them. And they got, the Giants could have a good year.
Hey, by the way, before we sign off, congratulations to Joe Capacci for getting going to be awarded the Father Bettini Award.
Very nice.
The St. Anthony Fest. Joe Capacci, a mechanic for the Seneca Falls School Bus Garage.
Nice write-up at StAnthonyFestival.com.
Very much so.
If you want to check it out.
So congratulations to Joe Capacci. Deservedly a great award, the Father Bettini Award, given obviously the weekend of the St. Anthony Festival. So Joe's picking up that award. Ironically, or good for his family, his dad, Al, won it several years ago. So Dad won it. And now son Joe wins it. So congratulations from all of us at the Dog and Pauly and all of us here at FingerLakes1.com. Congratulations to a good friend of mine, Joe Capacci, for winning that Father Bettini Award. And by the way, hope to see you at the St. Anthony's Festival. I know Jim's going to be over there. We're going to go over there with our friends at Lopez this Saturday night, have a few laughs. Nick Gillette, who said was going to retire and get out of the rock business back in the 60s. He's still performing 50 years later, so he'll be performing Saturday night, so it should be a lot of fun. Hope to see you all stop by and have a cold beer and a order of giblets. Paulie?
Well, I'll see each other, but at the festival. You don't have to promote that. 1,000 pounds of hot sausage, that's one item. 800 pounds of giblets. Oh, baby, I'm there.
All right, baby. Thanks again, folks, for joining us. We do thank Ed Courtney and our good friend Joe Sposato coming in, talking to us for 30 minutes. And again, enjoy the rest of the week. Labor Day weekend coming up, everybody. I'm not sure when the Weber on Sports Show is going to be aired next week, but we'll let you know when it will be aired. Take care, everybody. This is the Dog and
Pauly Show.
Have a good week, everybody.
Have a great holiday weekend.